right, welcome back to Bending the Narrative. Today we are bringing back one of our favorite segments with Whispers of the White Lotus. This week we are going to discuss more about the final confrontation between Aang and Zuko and how it establishes their relationship for the rest of the show. Alex, let's start with you.
Yeah, so this conversation, this little scene, it's like probably not even a minute, honestly. I'm trying to think
Not
about it, and
even
it's gotta be like 45 seconds or so.
30 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because like you were
if
saying, like
that.
Aang has like a couple of sentences. It's only just a paragraph. I know you wrote the whole thing down. I don't know if you want to be the one to quote that, but like
I wrote the whole chunk. It's my favorite sentence. For some reason, I love this moment. It shows so much about Aang and so much about Zuko, and it gives so much foreshadowing about what their relationship becomes and who they are deep down. Like, I like after, so Aang says, you know, the worst part about being born almost 100 years ago is I miss all my friends I used to hang out with. Before the war started, I used to always visit my friend Kuzan. The two of us would get in and out of so much trouble together. He was one of the best friends I ever had, and he was from the Fire Nation, just like you. And then he goes, if we knew each other back then, do you think we could have been friends too? It like
my heart.
my heart,
It
my
hurts.
heart,
It
it
hurts so
hurts.
good. Like
And then
it.
Zuko immediately, he immediately bends fire at him. And then
Mhm.
we see Aang just
Leave.
peacefully
Yeah, he
bop
just
away. He
dips.
doesn't try to fight him.
Mm-mm.
He just leaves that little like, hey, maybe
Hmm.
we don't have to fight. And he lets that sit with him. And then you see Zuko like think about it for a second. He's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
What
and it
am I
just
doing?
it's God, there's so much good stuff there. It's like we were saying before the break, where like less is more, right? We don't get a
Yes.
back and forth between them. We just get Aang dropping that. But also Aang does the thing that like really wise people do, and the fact that like short stories are the best way to get things like to are the
Yes.
best teachable moments. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not him being like this long monologue about how like people who are on opposite sides like can and should be friends. It's like, hey, this is an experience that I had. Like this is me just like thinking on that and sharing that. And then like because it's in a story form and it's a real experience that he had, like that's something that
Mm-hmm.
stays with the audience, but also of course Zuko and will stay with Zuko and will bubble up and be something that you can imagine that he spends a lot of time thinking about and like reflects on that, and it's just like it's so good, like it's such a
It's just so
great.
beautiful. And it's so perfect. I feel like this is wrapped up with such a perfect little bow.
Mhm.
It's not too much, it's not too little. It's just the perfect amount. This like I feel like too, even the words that they use, they don't even use they take out all these filler words, they don't elongate this,
It's
they don't
so
let this go
concise.
on for too long. It's to the point, it's concise, and it works and it hits. Because I mean, I know everybody knows it's made for kids, but
Mhm.
they don't treat kids like they're stupid. They
Mhm.
understand that kids will get this.
That was I can't
Like
remember what
that's
I
the
was
most
watching.
genius part.
There was something recently, I don't remember if it was an interview that I read or I don't remember where, but they were talking about animated shows for kids, and
Hmm.
they were saying that like one of the most important things to do is to not treat it like don't talk down to them. Like you don't
Yes,
do that. 'Cause you don't
I
need to
think
do
the
that.
show Bluey does that. They talk about the show Bluey and like genuinely they try to make it like they don't because the plots are complicated. I know there's some things about the dads, I think the parents fighting or something, and
Mhm.
I don't know too much if there's any real
Bluey
Bluey fans
lore
out
people
there.
in
Bluey lore people, let me
the I
know.
wonder
But
what the
I know
Bluey
they talk a
and the
lot about
Avatar the
like they try to
diagram.
make it they don't want to talk down to their audience, and a
Yeah,
lot of the reason people like it and even the adults watching it along with the kids like it is it's because of that reason. They don't talk down to their audience, they treat everybody as if they will understand
intelligently. Yeah,
intelligent and they can
yeah,
understand and grasp it.
which is important, and it's yeah, it's just such an important thing, and because kids are smart, like, and
Yeah.
also if especially if you want them to be smarter and learn, like talking down to them is not going to help that, and so just like write it well, write it sincerely, and like you're actually like as teachable moments and things like that. And
Yeah.
this also too, like these couple of sentences give like that first like do you know the part about being born almost 100, the worst part about being born almost 100 years ago, like that also, that said like that says so much about like how much his age and like being a person out of time like weighs on him,
Yeah.
which is something I feel like I know we talked about
He
it
doesn't talk
definitely like
about too much. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
and we
never
touched
emphasized too much.
on in like the first couple episodes because like obviously
Hmm.
he's like getting adjusted to the fact that 100 years have passed, but like
Hmm.
but bro literally time traveled like essentially like
Bro,
I
literally time traveled.
like I can't imagine like being in a coma for 100 years, like waking up like going to sleep and waking up 100 years later, like, and granted in this world it's not like there's been
Devastating.
like technological like marvels and
Advancements.
advancements,
Yeah, like he
yeah,
wakes up
like
in Korra's era, and
yeah,
that would be intense. Hmm.
yeah, so like there hasn't been that kind of like culture shock, but there's still
Not like
like
Captain America waking up in New York City,
yeah,
present day.
like
Yeah.
walking around Times Square like what
The what
the
the fuck is this?
yeah, like so like you don't get that, but the emotional shock still of like,
Hmm.
I mean, he was incredibly lucky that Boomy is still alive. Like there's one person that
That's
he still
insane.
knows. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is wild, but like everyone you knew is gone. Everything that you knew as it was is gone. Like that's something that a 12-year-old is having to come to grips with.
Yeah.
And like you get all of that built in baggage for lack of a better, and like trauma like
Baggage.
in
Yeah.
one line where he's like, you know, the worst part about this, like, I don't have my friends. And like,
Hmm.
oh, that hurts. Like, that hurts
Oh,
so
oh,
bad.
that was right there. That was
Like,
right there.
cool,
It,
thanks, man. Appreciate it. And like,
thanks, man. I'm gonna
he,
go cry in a dark room for a little bit. See you later.
and he's doing that in an attempt to like reach out and make more friends
My
too.
friends.
Yeah.
And he
And
doesn't
like,
say it like it. He kind of he's reflective with it. He's not saying it because he's sad and trying to get it out and trying to understand the feelings. It's
mhm,
like he already understands these feelings. He's already come to terms with it, and he's already like he's not mourning it in this moment. In this moment, he's like, "Hey, I am sad about this, but I've gotten over it, and now I'm using this as a tool to
trying to make
reach
another,
out,
yeah.
yeah, to help
And
other
like,
people," which
mhm.
speaks to Aang's character.
And then
And
and it
then,
hurts so much because whenever he gets back and Sokka's like, did you make any friends on your adventure? And he's like, no, I don't think so.
no, I don't think so. Ah,
Bro,
ah!
no.
Another one,
He
and then I
did.
love, oh, there's because then there's so much about Zuko here too. Like I love that Aang understands that he can get to Zuko. It's just going to take time. It's not going to take one conversation or one little action.
Hmm.
And there are people like that where you have to, and like this is so reflective of the real world and a great lesson for kids and anybody watching this is making friends with enemies is not just a simple like let's be friends and it's going to work.
Yeah.
Like he has to build that trust and he's planting these seeds throughout the entire first season and
Yeah.
the second season
To
and the third season.
repeatedly.
That's not
Yeah.
until the end. Thinking when do they get together? It's not even until the end of the third season, right?
Yeah. It's like repeat. It's like halfway, maybe ish, somewhere
Halfway
around there.
through, yeah,
Yeah. Well, like it's through repeated reaching out and
effort.
action and
Hmm.
yeah, like yeah, effort. It's like him consistently being like, we don't have to be on opposite sides here. Like we can, there's a way forward that's good and healthy for both of us. And you really
Yeah.
like see that. And yeah, you get Zuko going back and being like, I'm gonna go take a nap, and then like turning his
Like the
back.
middle of the day. I love this symbolism is my favorite because Zuko is laying in the bed. He's looking at the flag of the Fire Nation, and he literally and figuratively turns his back to the map or to the
Hmm.
flag.
Yeah,
Um, and I love
while he's
because
laying
like
there.
the blue being the blue spirit and taking Aang away from the Fire Nation and that victory,
Yeah.
he betrayed his own nation.
Yeah, I mean, like if he wasn't a traitor already, like then he like
He
100% is
really is
now.
a traitor now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he completely, which is also really funny to think about the fact that like the like Zhao doesn't know that that was him yet. Like,
Yes.
like he's just like, who the hell was this dude?
Like,
Like that
what the
just
hell
came
was
to,
that? What? We
yeah,
have all these things out here. What is this planet?
yeah, like,
He's
um,
like, we've mowed down most of it. We've burned down most of the forests and eased
like what
most
is
of the spirits.
like what is going on here, man? Why? Come on, we had him, we had
Like
him.
now, we had the best snipers in the world.
Yeah.
I do love that.
But yeah,
Um,
no, it's good, and it definitely it sets the stage for, you know, them. eventually being on the same side and eventually being friends, and the fact that there is that option forward, and like the fact that Aang is like, yeah, like one of my best friends was from the Fire Nation, like do you think we could,
which is
like we
so
would have been
cool.
friends? And it's like, oh well, you will be, give it time,
We
give it a
will
little
be,
bit.
but I do like it's a seed planted, and I do like it's a seed planted also for the audience to be like, oh, like
Hmm.
that's interesting. I thought in most shows the villain is the villain and the good guy is the good guy, and that's it. And
Yeah,
I do like that this blurs the lines. It's gray. It
it's also, I keep on having to like force myself to think about it from a first time view perspective, because
yes,
like obviously we know like like Zuko's a part of Team Avatar, right? Like that's the like in
yeah.
hindsight, and like we're
We all
however
know
many
that
years,
happens.
we're however many years removed from the show now, like it's hard not to think of him as part of Team Avatar. But like I can't, like watching this the first time in the like at this point in the first season, you're like, oh, like okay, this is interesting. Like they're not like, maybe they could be friends possibly. Like that's
Yeah,
really like it's so, it's wild to think, because even the first time that I watched it, I knew that Zuko, like that he was on a redemption arc, like in the
yeah.
long scheme of things, right?
Hmm.
And like I'd seen art or whatever of them like working together and stuff. So I'm like, okay, like even in the back of my head, like I knew that that was a possibility. Like I can't imagine watching this as it aired and being like, oh, like
Oh yeah,
that's
and not
wild.
knowing anything. I want
Yeah,
to find somebody out there, a friend, or maybe even my parents who've never seen it and don't know anything about it. I'm like,
yeah.
I think I've convinced them now to have them watch it. I'm so curious about what their
That
opinions would be,
experience is
and
like,
yeah,
yeah,
what they think is going to happen and what they think is going on.
yeah.
Is
It's so cool. They
that'll
were they
be
were cooking when they made this. They
they.
were
Yo, somebody let them cook. That kitchen's on fire.
in case you guys didn't know, we think
Is
this
you know
show's pretty good.
pretty good, not amazing,
Yeah.
but pretty good.
Yeah,
I crack up.
it's good. They establish a lot here, and it really, like you said, seed planted. It grows a lot later on, and
It grows a
as the
lot.
show goes
Yeah.
forward.
Hey, Aspect listener, enjoying the show?
Then be sure to subscribe here on The Aspect so you never miss an episode.
And check out more episodes and clips on our playlist here.
Thanks so much for watching, and
Lameo Hot Man.